Well, a very good morning to you. It's Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. I'm Andy Johnson. Welcome to This is how we're going to begin the program this morning. We'll tell you what's coming down over the next hour and a half. This is AM Prime here on WESN and WESN CC. We can tell you that as well. We're talking in a little bit with a man named Mr. Ricky Howard. He's a resident of a district in Tobago, in Scarborough, in Crown Point in particular, called Silk Cotton Road. And they staged a protest a couple of days ago, residents in a couple of streets around there, saying that they want to push back against the work being done for the continued expansion and development of the Crown Point Airport. They say the company, there was no consultations, and they blocked the roads, the people unblocked them, and they are protesting the manner in which this is being conducted. The China Railway Construction Company, the Shanghai Railway Construction Company is the company on site on that project. So we'll talk with Mr. Howard in moments from now. Also, Marsha Walker, she's a member of the UNC operating in the Diego Martin West constituency, and she issued a press release a couple of days ago saying that the Prime Minister, the PNM women must reject the Prime Minister's what she calls toxic code of secrecy. We'll get into that in the second part of the program. Marsha Walker. And in the segment after the 7 o'clock news, we're talking with retired school principal, former president of Pan Trinbago, and many more things that he's had on his agenda and on his CV, Mr. Roy Augustus. He will weigh in with us this morning on what he sees as issues to be dealt with regarding crime in society and violence in schools. That's what's going to come down over the next hour and a half. Of course, we'll share with you some of the stories we bring to you as staples. We go around the region. We stop in Jamaica on the first stop this morning, and we will go further than that. Also, we share with you the numbers for COVID-19, the Newsday question, the poll, and its responses. But let's see if we can get to Mr. Howard on the phone at the moment. I'm told he's there. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Good morning.
Mr. Howard?
Yes, are you hearing me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Well, I don't know if you could hear me, but Mr. Howard?
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes, are you hearing me?
Well, I'm hearing you now, yes.
Okay.
But I'm getting an echo or something in my ear, so we have to work that out. But well, thanks for agreeing to talk with us. Tell us about this project, where it's at, and why did you all decide that you wanted to raise an issue about. So they want to fix the roads leading to and from the airport as part of the airport expansion and development project. What's the issue?
I'm speaking mainly on my behalf.
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to talk mainly on my behalf, because then I know then what I'm saying is 100. And the issue there is the authorities or NITCO and China Railway Construction Company Limited has not finished negotiation with apparently about a dozen or more people. And they decide to go ahead with the project and ignore everybody else. I'm speaking to you now, before I get any further. They have never come to me for negotiation. So, that I want to get that clear. They have never come to me for negotiation. I received 1 or 2 calls, and that was about it. And then someone came to me for evaluation, and they did the evaluation. And from that evaluation, I've never heard A, B, C, D from anyone else. So
and it's not just the road that you're living on. You're on Silk Cotton Road. You say there are residents from some other streets in the district. And so you all came out to stop the advance of the project a couple of days ago, correct?
Friday.
Yeah.
So I was going at getting some water problem down in the back where the construction taking place. I don't know if it's real or it's part of victimization. So I will leave it like that. So I'll take water from my home to go down there. That's the other home that I have at Gaskin Bay Road to carry down at Crumstain Trace, where the project going down, where I have some sheep and goats. And on my way down, as I go to turn off at Silcotton Trace to go to Crumstain Trace, to go to where my land and buildings are, police were there blocking off the road. Tell me I couldn't enter.
Yeah.
Then I stopped. I met one other person there who were already on the scene, and then I stopped, and then everything canceled for the evening because it was a big eruption. Couldn't get to your property, and you couldn't get to do anything that you wanted to do at that point in time.
You said that representatives of the company, they had spoken with some of the people and not all, or they spoke with you and maybe others, but a lot of people haven't been brought into the loop as to what they wanted to do and how they were going to go about doing it?
Exactly, and I heard from after Friday someone said that they spoke to some of the people and they said they're not moving. Not exactly truth, because what we are saying one thing, and they are saying another thing, that there's a new block that they bought, and the block we on is block D. And they are saying that they paid people on block D, and people don't want to move, which is a false. So they put it now that nobody want to move, and we on government lands put it. And I could go promptly, I Ricky E. Howard, who grew up at Crumstain Trace from 2 years and 6 months. I've never been paid any money. My grandmother died 2nd of December 1995. I've never been paid any money because they start negotiation in 1996 for that first portion of property. So I don't know who they paid money and where they get it talk from. And the community, or most of the community, believes that people on these lands and government paid for them already and not moving. And then the former administration, the assembly, get it up running, and instead of to help the people or come to the people, nothing. They want to kill you faster and easier. And this is why I'm glad for this meeting this morning, because I want to put it out there so that the present government, that is the central government, and the present government, who no more in the assembly in Tobago, has done a lot of dangerous things to the people in Tobago, and foremost, the people down at Crumstain Trace Point. None of them, from the beginning of this old system, never reach out to the people. Never take a walk. Not the assemblyman, not the chief sec. Nobody has never come around and even say, let us go and dialogue with the people. None of them. All they do is throw water on duck back and just give people to run away like they have done something and they have pleased the people. And they have pleased no one. Even the people on their own side, who they paid money, cannot even build a house right now.
So what happened yesterday?
Renting, and they have no way to go. And the government not assisting them, and the government don't care about them.
So no work happened yesterday?
Say it again?
No work happened yesterday?
No, they didn't block the road yesterday. There are a few men in and out just strolling up and down, but they haven't seen any major work took place yesterday.
And none is likely to take place today as well?
No. I think because I thank God for the new assembly that we have, which I am part of. I supported them. And if it wasn't for the new assembly, what happened Friday would not happen. Right now, we would have been outside of our rights, because the government who was there before, the assembly before, they would have sealed off that road and leave us like nothing. But I thank God for the new assembly. They stood out for us on Friday. They really stood out for us, and I'm very, very, very glad for that. And I am depending now on the assembly to really take forefront in this whole project and reach with the people and with the system, because I do not trust the central government and the system of all the arrogance and stupidity that they're talking about. I really want the assembly to take the lead in this, because they have the right, they have the power, they have it within the laws, and that they could really put forward with the remainder of the people and meet the people meet the people one-on-one and see the problem, know the problem, and try to help them solve it. Because Midco and China Railway Company take us as nothing and trying to victimize from wherever they gain the strength from, and I'm not no part of it. I'm not no part. I depend on the assembly right now for anything that to go correct on that on that work, or with the remainder of people who really don't want to know the work for 20 and 30 years, achieve something, and then you lose it. And when you're ready to get back something, you can't buy. You get a piece of land, but you can't build back the same house you have, or you can't build back a house. And that is not right.
How many families we talking about here who are being affected or are likely to be affected with the work on the project?
There's at least 12 remaining people. At least 12 remaining people, or with houses and lands and things, and are saying from on both sides because there's a block. I don't know what the name of the new block, but the block B, the whole generation coming from alongside the meteorological station, right up back to Crumston Trees where it stands. And that alone is about 12 people there. On the other side where the government has newly bought, it still has about 6 people there that haven't been paid also. Or fail to negotiate correctly with the people. And this is where I'm glad that you really get on to me so that people can really hear and understand what's taking place.
Yeah. So describe to us what transpired. So you all got up one morning, was it Friday, and saw sort of heaps of material being placed on certain portions of these roads, and you all by yourselves cleared the streets
Yes, before
of
Friday.
that material, of those heaps of material.
Yes, before Friday they blocked the road Tuesday.
For yourselves.
Tuesday night we woke up Tuesday night before Friday.
Yes.
And meet the road. Block off. I was not party to that one. I did not see what took place. But someone who could not get to their home make access to get to their home. That was Tuesday night. And that is as far we'll go with that. Because there are people with their home and they can't get to it. So if you block off the main road, if you close off the main road, there's no way to get inside there. No way. Because
and Silk Cotton
Trace, and then the block at Comstain Trace. So you can't get in from Comstain Trace, and you can't get in from Silk Cotton Trace. So there's no way you could get access to go to your structure.
Okay.
And because of Tuesday transpire, they come back on Friday with a force of police officers and what you call these people, OSHA hack people, safety and health, and NICO and China Railway Company, and with trucks and everything with loads of white coral stone that freshly dug from the compound itself, and just start showing it on the road in front of the police officers while we were there, even up to when Secretary of Works and Infrastructure came, they still continue throwing boulders on the road in front of the Secretary. He tried speaking to one lady there who some part of the project management, and she says there's nothing she could do and she was not going to move it. And through intense negotiation from the secretary and all the other main players, they're able to ratify it, so they will be clear probably an hour later or more.
Go ahead. You're going to say something else?
No. What I could say is that after they cleared the road, it was disturbing that it was Friday that come out on Newsday. I don't know this fella is who is excited to say or what, that the people that fail to negotiate and say they're not moving. And I've never seen this man with my eyes. I don't know who is this person they're talking about. Who is this big person in it or carrying on the project, and you never seen, but he talked to to everybody and everybody refused. And you don't know who is this person. I don't know the person. Never called me, never spoke to me. And therefore, part of what they're betraying is falsehood. If there's a problem, let the government, which is the central government from before, not going quite back there. Because the central government now is the one who sit down with Colin, but in Parliament, and said that they pay people already and see people up with the pin. How can you get, after 20, 30 years, when 2-3 governments change hands, and some people may be paid, but not everybody being paid? You got to do, you the government, you got the books in your hand. You got to find out, well, okay, what are we going to do with the people who are at present on spot? Are they being paid? Are they not being paid? Where are we going to try? How are we going to try to solve this problem? Rather than you trying to victimize your own people and through all kind of movie long talk. Even member, your own House Assembly member and member in Parliament start showing all kind of childish talk. And that is not what government for. Government is to find solution for problem out there for its people.
So,
and they haven't tried to do any of that.
Yeah. So you said you'll expect to be meeting with representatives of the current THA administration to work these things out.
Based what transpired on Friday, early on the news that the Assembly and the authorities probably going to have a meeting, not with us. Nobody has told me anything or get to me about anything. So I always lay back because I doesn't really push forward with these things. But what I've got from the news is that the authorities, the Tobago Assembly and the authorities probably going to meet together, and then after that, then they're probably going to start to meet with the remainder of the people who remain in that area where what is due for development, and probably they can iron this out and get the problem solved. People be removed if they have to remove people in a correct way, in a sensible way, and a satisfactory way before they do any project there. Because one thing I want to say, you have big equipment there, digging stone, coral, stone, noise, dust. When they see you and you talk, they try to spray water while they're singing and watching you like, well, okay, I'm pushing you out or I torturing you for you to leave or torture for you to give up, and you can't get anywhere. And this is one of the things I would like them to do. That this project ain't supposed to go on except the dialogue with each and everybody. And each and everybody being satisfied. Then you vacate the project, you give them your time and you do what you want, and you say, okay, we're going to get everything under control. So we do have to look back. But you can't be there among us and treat us as nothing. But you will get every equipment blocking off road and get us trapped like we in a part of an island that none exists, and I don't like it.
And the headline on the story in the Tobago Newsday said that this was a sign of total disrespect. Is that consistent with how you all feel?
Yes, total disrespect, because no one has notified us. No one has notified us on nothing. And no one has come out and tell us nothing. They, part of the land that they purchased, they create a new entrance from the further end of the development, from one end to the next end. Make some ordinary local signs and put it on the street and direct it to me. I don't know if it's to us or to the public at large. Say to Crumpston Local Road, pass here from to get to Crumpston and to get into Crumpsteen. So based upon that, we did not, I never used that road because I know it's private land. If I go there with my vehicle and anything happens, nobody is responsible. I travel on a road that is legal, that is recorded as Hill Cotton Trace, into Crumpsteen Trace, right down to the meteorological station. I know that when I pay taxes, when I pay my insurance and license, I know I'm legally prepared to drive on that road. What they scrape up in the corner there and want me to drive on, I would not pass on it because anything happens, I have to bear the brunt of anything. And I would not do that.
All right, Mr. Howard. We're going to leave it there. But so what you're saying is that you will expect to be approached by representatives of the current administration at the THE to have this matter sorted out in the interest of, and certainly
the new administrative, with God's grace, that they really could stand up for the people and we could get this solved.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we will stay with you on this as it goes forward.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll share with you the numbers for COVID-19. We take you through the Newsday poll, the question, and the responses as we go forward here with this morning's edition of AM Prime.
Change your fate! Start to win at life with $20,000 every month. Win $20,000 every month for 20 years with NLCB's newest game, Win for Life. 6 numbers from 28 plus the cash ball could make you win for life. You deserve a win. Play Win for Life today. Visit NLCBGames.com for details. Players must be 18 years and over. Please play responsibly.
Tune in to WESN Content Capital from May 5th to 13th as we bring you exclusive coverage of the TTCB's T20 Festival. 8 teams will face off at the Cricket Centre in Balmain, Couva. Follow us for the live action only on WESN Content Capital, your home for cricket.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital.
Gift giving during a lockdown can still be hassle-free with a gift from FanZone with delivery options available nationwide. Visit and browse our Facebook and Instagram pages for all your official licensed merchandise and apparel and have it delivered to your door. Find us on Facebook and Instagram. FanZone, we've got you covered.
The best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
North Coast Jazz 2022. Day 2, Event 2. The big day is Family Saturday. And the biggest stars are performing on festival grounds. Michelle Sylvester, Ruel Lynch, Patrick Gordon, Adam Hagley featuring Tony Paul, Leandra Head, Johan Chuckery, Sharon Phillips, Freetown Collective, powered by festival band Dean Williams and Company. Each master talent will perform a song from Lord Nelson's wide catalogue. Saturday, Family, May 28th. Together again. Festival grounds, Blanchisseurs. Family, a tribute to Lord Nelson. North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival 2022. 3 days, 3 events, 3 experiences. Born here, played here.
Get your tickets now at Crosby St. James, Extra Foods Arima, Sangre Grande, Grand Bazaar, Endeavour and Chaguanas, Digicel Trend City and C3 Malls, and Digicel Head Office, 11C Maraval, WESN, 38 Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Suntix.com, or call our ticket hotline at 628-5835 or 681-1516.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more.
This week only, catch Madam Fix-It on Tuesday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. on your content capital WESN.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, the content capital. I am Keaton Shaw.
My name is Sean Michael Small. We will advance the discussion on important issues objectively, critically, and hopefully constructively.
Money is borrowed and it goes into the, what I call the political black hole.
Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, he has a serious task on his hand.
People were able to get millions of dollars in illegal payments within the organization.
All of a sudden, the government has nothing to do with Petrogen and illegal matters. They've taken this completely hands-off approach.
And there's no perception that we will abuse our power and be breaking down doors, destroying property.
40 years since the Tobago House of Assembly became a thing that we need to get this right.
You look at it a little closer and say, why is it just a political ploy, or is there some substance to it?
In this season, we talk more about health, wellness, and everything in between. I am so excited to share with you everything about health and wellness so that you can design the life that you've always dreamed of. Join me here on What's Up Doc.
What's Up Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
It may seem like the hardest thing to do right now, but we all need each other to wear a mask, wash our hands, watch our physical distance, and stay at home. We need you safe. Together we can make the difference. Together we can curb the spread of COVID-19. So let's be responsible in our actions. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society. Mission-based, people-focused, community-driven.
Welcome back to the program. Well, up ahead in moments from now, Marsha Walker, she's a representative of the United National Congress in the constituency of Diego Martin West, and she's written this press release which went out a couple of days ago. The headline is, "The PNM women must reject Rowley's toxic code of secrecy." We'll get to that in a moment, but first let's run through the numbers with the COVID-19 in our midst on this day. The new positive cases, the total recovered patients, and the rest of the portfolio coming there, following which we take you through the question and answer from the Newsday poll. So those are the numbers this morning from testing conducted yesterday. 214, that's the new positive cases. The death toll, 4 from yesterday. The total active positive cases, 8,731. The total deaths to this point, 3,856, and patients in hospital, 188. So those are the numbers. That's where we stand with COVID-19 in our midst. Let's take you now to the Newsday poll, the question and responses. And the question was, do you feel enough is being done to curb the spread of COVID-19 in schools? And here are some responses. No, because in some schools there are 3 to 4 kids at one desk. Nothing can be done to social distance the children due to limited spaces. Classrooms are packed to capacity. Another response is that board and ministry hiding it. It's bad. Nearly whole schools are staying home, whereas beg with online, the kids were getting their education consistently. Another response is the virus is going to become like a common flu where herd immunity will be achieved. There's no way of escaping it. The present variant is weak and within 2 to 3 days, your symptoms are over. At this point, it's not a major issue. Common sense will also show as we return to normalcy, there would be more cases. And the final response, it's a long one. How exactly through history have we ever successfully curbed the spread of a respiratory virus? We need to simply let it spread and learn to live with it. The fatality rate was already so unbelievably low in the beginning that we should have by default attempted to live with it. But no, the experts sought to exaggerate statistics to bloat deaths and ensure that in the mainstream media push the fear-mongering. So those are the responses to the question, do you feel enough is being done to curb the spread of COVID-19 in schools? We come now to Ms. Marsha Walker. PNM women must reject Rowley's toxic code of secrecy. That's the headline on a release she put out a couple of days ago. We thought it interesting enough to want to speak with her about it. She's our guest. Good morning. Good to have you, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, Andy. Thank you for having me.
All right. So here's what you say in the first paragraph of this press release. The MP for Diego Martin West has time and again shown us his true feelings towards women, from his grooming comments to his references to the opposition leader's nightwear, and of course his callous treatment of me on nomination day. He has not only perverted the development of Diego Martin West as a member of parliament and in Trinidad and Tobago as prime minister, he has now deformed the role of women in the PNM with his infamous and downright toxic Cosa Nostra code of secrecy. What are you referring to here?
Okay, well, so the PNM has this lovely code of secrecy. We would have seen, could be about a month or two ago, where actually a councillor and alderman would have spoken out against the PNM, and they came out and said, breaking code of rank, and there's a way to do it, and et cetera, et cetera. Of course, it's never done in a gentle manner. I'm an advocate for gentle parenting. It's always in a bullying fashion. And then, we have that infamous Rowley saying, if you break rank, we will mash you up. We see a children's report coming out, and Ayanna Webster Roy would have sat on it for 5 months, where children would have died. I mean, a serious, serious, serious report. So time and time again, and this is not the first time, of course, in my press release, in the press release, I would have spoken about the Darrell Smith report. Time and time again, there's serious issues, and we continue to keep it secret. Of course, years ago, we would have uncovered issues with the Prime Minister himself. And, it's just kind of, I had a life before politics. Again, a very serious issue. Just this week, last week, Friday, the Prime Minister was absent. He did not vote on the Sexual Offences Act. When I sat in the Senate a few months ago, that was a Sexual Offences Act. And the percentage of women, and this is not me being female, feminist, or anything like that, right? But studies would show that the percentage of persons who were most affected by that bill would have been women. And not a single female PNM senator spoke on that bill. So it's clear. From the grooming comments and not in your bedroom comments, even just yesterday, Fitzgerald Hines was speaking about women victims. He used the word victims and then says, but they're profiting from it. They are, so they're making it hard to prosecute because they're profiting from it. There seems to be some underlying misogyny, and the question that I raise is, the PNM's Women's League just a party group to do a boys' club bidding, to bully women, to force them into submission. Anyone who doesn't take up that role of submission, they'll deal with them. And at a time when women are fighting for their space in society, fighting for their role in politics, we are fighting domestic violence. Of course, the pandemic, you just spoke about the pandemic. We would have seen that child abuse, domestic abuse against women is on the rise. And yet still, the PNM's women chose to speak out against another woman they chose to use their voice to speak out against another woman. And I don't want to get too much. You would have noticed that I skimmed through that because, I mean, that's internal PNM business. But they put out a media release. So they put that out into the national domain. And the language was really, really, really appalling, apart from the grammar, you know. But it's just disturbing that so much is going on. I mean, you're talking about the schools, you're talking about, you know, abuse, and the PNM's women, they chose to use their voice, their national platform, to attack another woman, you know, for her opinion, you know.
You're talking about Karen Nunes
that
Teixeira.
Influence, you know, when you are given such a platform, then you ought to really use it for women in general in society, for uplifting of women, not for bringing down women. You see the UNC Women's Arm, they're out and about constantly protesting on behalf of every single woman in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of inflation, in terms of unemployment, in terms of our safety. The UNC's Women Arm was very instrumental in protesting against Andrea Barrath, against, you know, the dumping ground in Aripo. That is what I would want a woman's arm to do. You know, I mean, we are at a time where our women must come together. And so I was just very appalled that they would use their voice to speak like that. And as I said, I mean, it's this way that PNM handles things, this code of secrecy needs to stop. And since my press release, we would have seen the Children's Authority, we would have seen Foster Cummings. You know, this secrecy needs to stop. That's the bottom line. You know, you are accountable to the government, to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot continue to sweep things under the carpet. So when Daryl Smith report came, you did not lay it publicly. You paid whoever off, and you know, it just went away. Foster Cummings, that was a 2019 report. 2019, you received a report. This guy then became a candidate. He then became a member of parliament in your government. Then he became a minister, a full minister in your cabinet. You know, so it seems as though this little boys' club, they're keeping secrets for each other and promoting each other. It's almost as though, well, you want to make it in PNM, then you've got to keep our secrets. Because the more you keep our secrets, the more you're promoted. And we must say no. Secrecy is toxic. It is very toxic. And you would have seen in my media release that I linked that entire... You see, we don't understand that the way a country runs, the atmosphere of the country, society, the fabric of the society starts from our leadership. Just like with homes and everything else, it starts with our leadership.
So what's been the response to it?
Our leaders can treat women like that, and bully women like that, then what are you leaving for the rest of society?
What's been the response generally to the press release?
I just felt it really in poor taste. And again, you know, with the report that came out, you know, there was a lot of secrecy that was exposed, you know, people trying to make reports. And every time you make a report, there's a certain level of bullying happening. And I just think our leaders ought to really set an example. You see Kamala Persad-Bissessar nearly every week. I mean, there are people that are intent on hating, on making up lies about her, in rewriting her character. And yet you see her on a political platform saying, come home. It doesn't matter. Come home. She tells us constantly, listen, be kind, be kind, be kind, because we want to go out there and defend her. We want to go out there and say what we want to say. And she says, be kind, be respectful, be respectful. And as I say, she stands on a national platform nearly every week saying, come home.
All right, so what I'm trying to get at is what's been the response?
And that is just the difference in leadership.
Well, what's been the response to the press release thus far?
7 years under toxic Keith Rowley, we're seeing the results in society.
What's been the response? What's been the response to the press release thus far?
Well, so I would tell you that I write, maybe you've just joined the list because I got an updated list, but I write several press releases. And I mean, I have had, you know, several protests, etc. People would come, reporters would come, camera crew would come. They would interview me fully. You know, they would call for, you know, just to fill in the gaps. and then nothing. And then they'll come and say, we have no idea why, So I don't know if, our Prime Minister has issued some sort of directive that, my stuff should not be printed. I have no idea. But again, that's the PNM's way, to bully anybody that opposes you and to make it out as though we're unpatriotic, when in fact, if anybody knows, it's very difficult for my husband to get any kind of contract or anything. We live in Diego Martin. So the victimization, is crazy. Some people outright say, you went up against the Prime Minister. Do you understand that we cannot be associated with you, And
so people say that to you? People say that to you?
When we stand up and fight for the country. In fact, it's literally laying our lives down.
Right. Well, I'm trying
to want better for the country.
I'm trying to get an emphasis on that. You say people say that to you?
That's just PNM propaganda twisting everything we do, right?
People say that to you, that because you went up against the Prime Minister, they are shy or afraid of dealing with it?
Yep. Outright. In those exact words. I kid you not. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to go up against a Prime Minister. And this Prime Minister, you could speak to so many people. Even in PNM's own camp, Keith Rowley, I've never liked PNM, though I have voted. I tell that story all the time. I grew up in a PNM home. My husband grew up in a PNM home. So we knew nobody from UNC, and it's only later on trying, when I got to know PNM, I wanted to serve the country, and then I realized there's no way I could serve under PNM. I've never believed in the fundamentals of their party, the founding policies, etc. But Patrick Manning was a gentleman. Keith Rowley is toxic. Bottom line, he is toxic. And people, whether you like Trump, you don't like Trump, whatever. During the U.S. elections, people used to say that Trump is empowering racism, and that's why we must get rid of him, etc., etc. Keith Rowley is empowering misogyny. He is empowering disrespect to women. He is empowering violence. His tone, my daughter's 12, and my daughter said, if you have a Prime Minister, and he comes out on national television when children are sitting in front of the television, and you could say, she would say, don't Jack Donkey the scene, right? We all know the statement. What are you leaving for our children? What are you leaving? Everything about Keith Rowley is just so incredibly toxic.
All right, I want to get you back. I want to get you back on what you said earlier.
All the way down to society.
I want to get you back on what you said earlier, that reporters will come to you, take stories, do an interview with you, and then it doesn't appear, and they say, well, they don't know why.
Yeah.
And you believe that there's some magic hand behind that?
Well, it's no secret. If you go back to the kind of media coverage that I had gotten during the general election, even before the general election, I have, it's funny, right? Look, that's actually, I think this was the front page. Oh, well, this particular one was in the front page, right?
Yeah.
But I have made, and I remember in the 2020 election, somebody said, well, you're a real media darling. And even before the 2020 election, I spoke on a Diego Martin platform. I was not a candidate. I was not even in the running, nomination. It was actually it was local government election at the time. And they had asked, if I would speak on a platform, because it was a Diego Martin meeting. And I was featured in every single newspaper. That was the start of a beautiful relationship between me and the media. Every single thing that I said, every release, it would be printed. My first protest, again, just everything, media picked it up. All of a sudden, as I said, media would always show up to my protest. They would always show up to everything. They would call. They would say, hey, can we get some more information? We just this and that. And then nothing. And when I follow up, I say, hey, did it print? Because, of course, we all want to keep our clippings and keep it for our kids to show that, we've fought for your future. And they say, I don't know. So whoever knows, more secrecy.
Well, this one will be there in the record, but I also...
And I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right. I just want to get, this is a question you ask here because the Women's League did issue a statement, at least one,
yes,
challenging some of what, a former member of the party,
and the media carried it, and I mean, the thing is, I love the media because the media has a very important role in society. So even that, I mean, I would think that, again, it's so toxic because that, the first thing is, PNM women take current to task and whatnot. And again, internal PNM politics is not my issue. But then that story, because you've used your national voice, now gets carried into the media to say, you know what, it's okay for one woman's group to attack another individual. It is okay to use bullying language. And I just think that to be, my personal thing, when I see people attack Kamla Persad-Bissessem, this is not about UNC. This is about women fighting for their space in politics. It is about women fighting for their space in the corporate world, women fighting for their space in society, for our voice to be heard. When we look at the individual of Kamla Persad-Bissessem, and I say it to people all the time, had it not been politics, she would be a legend. You have this small frame lady who would have grown up in poverty, fought her way through education in a man's world. Let's be honest, back then it was even worse. She would have become the first attorney general, the first prime minister. She would have championed so many cases. She was part of developing and really, and still is imperfect, but the cohabitation laws, she would have really fought for women in society. She would have paved the way for women in society. We just did a Mother's Day video. And if you listen to so many of our young women, Michelle Benjamin said, I see a woman who would put her character, her family, her whole life on the line. And that's what, when she said it, I knew exactly what she meant.
All right.
Because when you speak to her, it's, let me take the jam. Let me take the jam. And she stands as a protector of her troops.
All right.
It's like she's a lioness and she's protecting her tribe.
All right.
And
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there.
I would like to see from women.
All right.
So for a women's league to use their national platform so that media headlines now become about women bullying women, I just think it's totally unacceptable. That's not what we should be using our platform for.
All right. We want to thank you very much, Ms. Walker.
If you would permit me,
we're going to have to leave it there.
Very, very quick.
Go ahead.
30 seconds.
Go ahead.
This Thursday, as in today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
2 days from now.
TT Speaks is rolling right into Diego Martin. We have a fantastic lineup. Of course, I will be speaking. We have Senator Damian Leiter speaking. Anil Roberts is speaking. Because we actually have quite a few phenomenal UNC persons, parliamentarians that live in Diego Martin, right? So it's a full lineup. It is in the Diamond Vale Central Community Center. So that's the one opposite True Value on the Boulevard. And it is from 7 to 9 p.m. So we want...
On Thursday.
You could come in your red, you could come in your purple, you could come in your green, your white, your tie-dye. You can come in.
All right, thank you very much. We got to go. So it's Thursday.
Come have a conversation with us and let's speak.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Marsha Walker. All right, so let's begin to look around the region. Now we go to the Bahamas, where there is an investigation is underway at a resort on the island of Great Exuma. Confirmed that 3 people died on Friday. The resort so far has only said it was a health emergency. Here's more in this report.
3 Americans dying of unknown causes at a Sandals resort on the Bahamas Great Exuma Island. 2 men and a woman died at the resort. Their cause of death at this time is under investigation. This is video of a plane bringing a 4th victim and lone survivor to New Providence so she could be taken to Princess Margaret Hospital. Sandals Resort released a statement that read in part, It is with deep sadness that we can confirm the passing of 3 guests at Sandals Emerald Bay on May 6, 2022. A health emergency was initially reported, and following our protocols, we immediately alerted emergency medical professionals and relevant local authorities. Our partners at ABC News has learned one of the victims who died was Vincent Chiarella, a man in his 60s. His son tells ABC News his mom, Donis Chiarella, is a survivor. The couple from Birmingham, Alabama were in the Bahamas for their anniversary. Their son, Austin, says he received a call from the U.S. Embassy around 8:30 p.m. Friday night with news about his parents. He spoke with his mom, who said she woke up and her husband was laying on the floor. She couldn't move. Her legs and arms were swollen, and she had to scream to get someone to come in the door. We also learned from the son that his mother told him she got sick Thursday, went to a clinic, and was released believing she was all right. The other 2 victims have not yet been identified.
All right, well, we'll take a break for the news at 7. On the other side of that, Mr. Roy Augustus, former, retired school principal, former president of Pan Trinbago, and many other things. He's he's been a political activist and a performer at the highest levels in political parties. We're talking about crime in the society and violence in schools. Much more to come here. Stay with us.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Psyched, Thursdays at 11 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by
political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
North Coast Jazz 2022. After Family Saturday, the sky ignites with Blue Sunday, where Juve meets Pan meets Soca. Juve meets Pan meets Soca. A Juve experience featuring Hadco's Phase 2 Pan Groove, Mixmaster DJs, and powerful soca. Witness the expression of a new-found freedom with paint and vibes. Dance along to the music of our national instrument. Blue Sunday. Blue Sunday. A colorful experience. A tradition you won't want to miss.
Looking for somebody to jam with me and have some fun. Juve.
Sunday, May 29th, Festival Grounds, Blanchisseuse. North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival 2022. 3 days, 3 events, 3 experiences. Born here, played here.
Tickets available at Crosby, St. James, Extra Foods Arima, Grand Bazaar, Endeavour and Chaguanas, Extra Foods Sagre Grande, Digicel, Twin City and Gulf City Malls, WESN, 38 Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Suntix.com, or call our ticket hotline at 628-5835 or 681-1516.
Say hello to the newest way to access eye care support. Say hello to Ferrera Optical Virtual Care. For the first time in TNT, you can now connect from the convenience of your home with our team of eye care professionals online. Need guidance in a vision problem or adapting to new eyewear? Book a virtual visit via FerreraOptical.com using our smart scheduler, and we'll take care of the rest. Ferrera Optical Virtual Care, connecting with you wherever you are.
It may seem like the hardest thing to do right now, but we all need each other to wear a mask, wash our hands, watch our physical distance, and stay at home. We need you safe. Together we can make the difference. Together we can curb the spread of COVID-19. So let's be responsible in our actions. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society. Mission-based, people-focused, community-driven.
Welcome back to the program. Well, with us is a guest, Mr. Roy Augustus. I've been saying that, he's worn many hats. He's been a primary school principal in more than one school in Trinidad and Tobago. He's been an executive and president of Pan Trinbago. And he's been other things I could tell you now that when I began to hear of him, there were 2 names that were featured almost on a weekly basis in the newspaper. It was called The Bomb at Chocolingo back in the 1970s. It was Roy Augustus and Freddie Ferrera. And that is when they broke with the PNM and helped form other organizations in the politics. And so he's been very much involved in the culture from those perspectives. He has some views that we want to try and begin a conversation with this morning, or continue a conversation. Crime in the society and his own experience, where it's gotten, and how we address violence in schools. Those 2 things are on the radar in a big way. Good morning, sir. Good to have you.
Hi, good morning, Andy. And it's good to be here. I have been out of the eyes for a long while. Now, let me begin by indicating that my intervention on radio last week and with you here this morning should not be taken at all as a re-entry into the political guile. I have taken a conscious decision to stay out of party politics per se, and I'm enjoying that period. So, but what I thought, however, is that this country has spent a lot of money on me in terms of secondary education, teachers, college, and they paid me to work in government departments and so on. So they have spent some money on me. And if there is anything, I should join the conversation in terms of the problems we have in this society. I'm one of those who feel that even though you're retired, you can be useful. Useful doesn't mean looking for a job, looking for a work anywhere. Useful means making your positions heard. Because over the years, I would have garnered a lot of experience in a number of ways, in a number of places. In fact, I keep telling people that my strength is the fact that I grew up behind the bridge. East Dry River, St. Paul Street to be exact.
Right, yeah.
I remember once I was presenting a project at a school, some school, and the supervisor asked me, which university you went to? And I said, UEDR. He said, UEDR? I said, yes, the University of East Dry River. You understand? Because he felt that there were some skills I was displaying.
Yeah.
You know, however, let me get to the point about the violence in schools. I think what we have to do is that we have to retrain our principals to a particular direction. Now, I know when I was in service, there were some retraining exercises that took place, particularly with teachers who had been out of teachers' college for some time. You know, they had to come up to speed with the new techniques and the new things that were happening in the society.
So how that used to be conducted? So they would go back to
what they would do is
courses.
They would use the vacation time, that long vacation period, July, August, and they would have some beautiful courses during that period. I'm not sure if that still happens, but I would hope that if it's not, you know, and it's preparation for principalship too, you know, and I think, and I want to be careful because I don't want people to think I'm criticizing them. I think that it is the key people in the question of schools and control of pupils in schools are the principals. You have to have a vision. You must also be able to extract fully from the teachers you have, and you must be able to deal with the children in a particular way. I always remember going into St. Augustine Senior Camp once, and I was chatting with a group of students. And to a man, I asked them what they thought of the principal. And to a boy and girl, you know, all their responses, even though they were varied, it pointed to one thing. They felt that the principal cared about them. The principal at that time was Osmond Downer.
Mr. Downer.
Yeah. They felt that the principal cared about them, that he believed in them. And that is what principals have to effect, you know, get the children to understand what you're doing for them and with them. I also think that apart from the skills of delivering the curriculum, I think teachers also have to have transactional relationships with the parents of children in your class. It is important for you to develop a relationship with parents so that you know what environment the child is coming from. And I'm not talking just about the PTA meetings. I'm talking about picking up the phone. The child did something, pick up the phone and chat with the parent. And you'll get something. And then the parents now will start to work with you on the matter. I also think that what needs to happen is that when one group of children move from one teacher to another, it is important that you have developed some kind of file that you can sit and discuss with the receiving teacher all the little problems and all the strengths and all the weaknesses of the children coming in and the relationship that one had with the teachers, parents.
Yeah. And you think that is an arrangement that could be, was it organic or it has to be part of some policy?
It must be. I would think that it can be both organic or the school fraternity developing that kind of system, so the succession will go on. You know, so I think that has to be very important. You know, and I don't believe in corporal punishment either. When I left Teachers College, I stayed very, very far from corporal punishment. I think...
And that was back then. I mean, that was from a long time ago.
Yeah, and I still am not in favor of corporal punishment. And that's what's led me off in this, because somebody played a calypso that Chogda said, you just created a bandit.
Yes.
Beautiful calypso. Quite correct. I mean, all the things that he spoke about there, he sang about there, were relevant to producing children properly. You know, but there was one thing he put in one of the verses about beating children, you know, and to me that is, I don't even have parents, we have a little great-grand at home. She's 7 years now, has never been hit.
Yeah.
Has never been hit. There are different ways of getting a child to behave. There are different ways of getting a child to behave. And once a child knows what you don't like, and you do it properly, children are generally good, you know. Children are generally good. I mean,
so let's talk about what they used to say
Yeah.
back then. Stick break in your ears, they're talking to you in your ear.
And yeah. But you see, if you're talking to them in a particular way, and if you refuse that, there was once somebody asked me whether punishment is a reward for bad behavior. I said, but punishment could never be a reward. You understand? I said, so rather than looking for a child behaving badly, well, let's talk about how a child will behave well. What do you put in place for the child to behave well? And you can reward the children for behaving well. And once you reward them, then you find that it will spin off on the others in the class, it will spin off on the others in the home. But the important thing is how you treat with the children and the relationship you develop with the parents. And the atmosphere that is in the school, the mood that is in the school. And you see peer pressure, those children who are engaging in the battles outside, there must be some system developed by your teachers in a particular way that their own peers will tend to guide them away from that kind of behavior. And there are techniques that you can use to do it, and I'm sure there are teachers who can employ those techniques. And I wish we could have more of that happening in the schools. We sometimes popularize the violence that is taking place. When you see these viral things running around the place, why do we want to popularize that? Thank God I saw last week. The videos, yes. Thank God I saw last week a couple of videos of children playing music, playing pan, schools, right? Yeah. More of that needs to be done, And I have to say that I know there are people who quickly rush to say he can talk because he was at Rosary, And again, I always have to respond by saying...
You also at Bethlehem and elsewhere.
But I only spent 7 years at Rosary.
And St. Philip.
The other 33 years that I spent in the school system was spent in Success RC twice, Our Lady of Laventille. And then Bethlehem. Yeah. And they are all schools in areas that are considered hotbeds. No, I didn't work at St. Philip's. Okay. I didn't work at St. Philip's. It was a government school, but I was with the RC board. Right. Okay. You see? And you have to be part, as teachers and principals, you have to be part of the community. You have to walk the tracks, You have to go down in the Beetham. Why you can't go? I went down the Beetham, I went down in Sealots. You have to walk the community. People must say, there goes the principal. You remember the days when a police sergeant and a principal were the two big hotshots in the village? This is what we've got to get back to, because the principal must be known, he must be seen, and he must be seen to care. He or she must be seen to care, and the teachers should join him in that kind of crusade.
In primary schools, the person used to be called the headmaster.
They're all called principals now.
Right.
Although my good friend Baldy once tell people, Roy couldn't be a principal. If Clive Planted was a principal, how could Roy be a principal? He's a headmaster still. But they're all called principals now. Principals 1 in primary school, principal 2 in secondary schools and so on. So that, and even too, I am not too certain that the transfer of information on students is done when the students move from primary to secondary. So the secondary school teacher is receiving almost a blank slate, in terms of these children. So he gets 25 children in front of him, knows absolutely nothing about those 25 children, other than the mark they made in the SEA. Yeah. You see, other than that. And I'm saying if you have that transfer of knowledge of the child to the school that is receiving those children, beautiful. And then, how do you cater for those who are still slow? I remember being in a very, very serious battle when I was minister in the Ministry of Education, because they had opened the model school. And when I looked at what was to be delivered in the model school, I was very, very happy with it. And then suddenly, my good friend Trevor Oliver and the teachers union, along with the teachers in the school, objected to the building that was being used. At no time in the conversation did I hear any reference to the curriculum, the level of work that was prepared for these children, because it was a question of taking them on tours That was one of the major planks. Carry them out. Some of our children who are said to be slow, it's because they do not have any experience other than home and class. Home and class, you'll be surprised. There were children, when I went to Upper Lebanon in the old days, there were children who had never been down to Port of Spain. They had never come down the hill. I am not doubtful that is happening in a lot of areas still. And this is where, again, the interactive teacher in both primary and secondary school, the days of school outings must come back. We must have school outings. We must take the children out, let them see their country, and let them experience other people and other environments. Take them out and take them out with a particular plan in mind, so that by the end of the day when they come back, I mean, I used to love to write those essays the following day, when they come back after those outings, and those things are what nurtured you, that kind of thing. No, the question of the violence in general, I keep hearing, stop them from shooting, stop them from this, stop them from that. That's the only activity our young people seem to be enjoying. Not a lot of our young people, it's a little 5 or 6% of our people who are behaving like that. And I have always, even when I was advisor in the Ministry of National Security, I always kept asking, what you are telling them, don't do this. What are you giving them to do? And I'm not talking about jobs. What are you giving them to do? Are we satisfied that our sporting programs, our sports programs, even at the school level, I think it operates nicely. But in general, I long for the day when I could go to the Savannah and see the Queen's Park Savannah, and see 7 and 8 cricket matches taking place.
Or football matches.
Football.
Yeah.
But now the Savannah is barren. I don't think there's a cricket pitch in the Savannah right now. So what are we giving them to do? We have panyards that are empty all day. Only in the evening, the pan players come in, and that kind of thing. Can we not use, Lloyd Best did it well. He produced a document, and did it extremely well. The panyard must serve the society, must serve the community. While I was at National Security too, there was, if you go to Birdsong's panyard on a Saturday, and especially now that the pandemic is slowing down, you go to Birdsong's panyard on a Saturday, you will be amazed at the amount of teenagers and young adults who are in there playing music, learning to read and write music, and also learning to play another instrument apart from the pan. So you would walk in and you hear saxophone, you hear guitar, you hear keyboards, and we took that at National Security and developed a program called Panyard Initiative.
Yeah.
And we took it to 5 panyards that we considered to be in those hotspot areas, right? Renegades, as far as I'm aware, is the only one that continues with that program. And the ministry, after we left, the ministry never followed up on the program.
And that's a major issue with follow-up. Initiatives start, they get a good rep, good write-up, good
yes. I remember
profile, and then.
I agree with you, because when one person comes in, I don't know if they read the files. Everybody comes in with his or her own idea, and they run along. And then there are some people who would say, if it was his, I don't want it. And I mean, that is rampant in the program. No, I keep saying, I was talking with a teacher recently too, and she was telling me that she contributed to a program that is being developed, and I think it's which one of the ministries, I'm not sure, but she's in education. And it had to do with going into the communities and sourcing the retired people who have skills, who can be part of providing programs for the youngsters, doing mentorship for the youngsters. And there's another program that was left in the ministry, the mentorship program, which by now should have been all over the country. You've got to take them from small. You can't. It is difficult to bend the tree when it's already up. Yeah. You've got to bend it.
To what extent that is a feature of our failures and the inability to move from one stage of development to the next because of people changing models every time, and sometimes in the case where it's the same administration but a different set of professionals come to the table and decide, well, look, we will do away with that. We have our own thing and so on.
Yeah, but you see, strong permanent secretaries and strong senior officers in the ministries can do what we are talking about, can do the transfer, make sure that there's continuity, you know. If you are not a strong senior person and a strong minister comes in and the strong minister says, I don't want this, whether you don't want it because it's somebody else own or not, if it was something that you were convinced about, you're supposed to object.
To be able to sell it.
Yes, and you're supposed to be able to tell him. And you're supposed to be, there must be justice somewhere for you in order for you to deal with that, you know, because I always believe that that's why they call permanent secretaries. They're permanently there. They're permanently there. We are transitional, you know, at least when I was in politics, I was transitional, you know, that kind of thing. Right now I'm permanently retired.
Right. So the point is there's a direct connection between what happens in the schools that then sort of gets expanded and become violence on the streets and crime on the streets and so on.
Of course. Once the culture of violence seeps in, it is hard, it is extremely difficult to pull them back. So you have to stop the culture of violence from happening. You stop it from happening, as I said, at the primary level through the transactional relationship with the parents. You stop it at the secondary level in terms of giving the children work to do and giving the children activities that they will expend their energies on, because the children have a lot of energy. And again, the central point, you know, there's a statement that the teacher is the transfer point of civilization. In other words, if you produce bad children, you're going to have a bad conduct in the society at some stage. And I'll give you an example again. I went, while I was in Culture, I remember going to a seminar in a secondary school, Mokarapo Senior Computers, in a secondary school, and I happened to come out to go to the washroom. It was not break time, but there were many children in the yard. And I looked around and I'm saying, well, why are these children in little groups talking and thing? And I saw a few teachers. I stood up for a while. I saw a few teachers passing. They even taking on the children. You know, the children are taking them on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I suddenly realized that they were scampering now off the classrooms. And I said, well, you know, bail on it, you know. When I looked wrong, it was just that Hollis Liverpool was walking across, because he was a teacher at that school at the time, and he was walking across to do a presentation in the hall where we were doing the seminar. He said not a word. They just saw him coming and they say, the teacher coming. and that's the kind of thing that we've got to develop, you know, that you have to earn the respect of the children. You've got to earn their respect. Right. And once you have their respect, you can lead them down the correct path.
But also, let's hope we've started something here with this discussion. We can come back to it from time to time as we see progress with addressing these ills in our society. But, you know, they say when time flies when you're having fun.
I know.
Roy Augustus, a man of many parts. Thank you very much. Before we go, let's take another look around the region. We go to Jamaica now, where local government minister Desmond McKenzie, along with other government representatives, toured some communities in the St. Catherine North Central constituency to come up with solutions for what they call improper infrastructure. Let's take a look from CVM television on that.
Yeah. I am told by the residents that these are long-standing issues, and the developments that have taken place many years ago did not comply with the requisite requirements of putting in drains, putting in sidewalks. So I'm here to have a look, and then, as I said before, I'll invite the National Road Agency along with the Municipal Corporation to sit and to look at how we can address the situation.
The minister assures that this visit will be fruitful and residents' cry will not fall on deaf ear. However, he adds, the situation will not be resolved overnight.
There is not going to be a snap of the finger and we address the situation. Because if you're going to spend funds, you have to ensure that the limited funds that you have, that you're going to be spending, is spent in a meaningful way, and that will benefit the residents of the community.
Member of Parliament for North Central St. Catherine, Natalie Nita Garvey, says she hopes to see the partnership with the local government and the NWA yield some form of result.
We're talking about tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who really and truly deserve better. And so I'm very happy that he's here today. I'm looking forward to some results on their behalf. They have suffered for quite some time.
Meanwhile, Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, says some of these schemes were built in the 60s with only roads to traverse and no other form of infrastructure. Decades later, this decision has proved challenging, according to the mayor.
And with that, we have to say, well, that's our broadcast for this morning. We want to thank you for watching. We tell you can stay with us here at AM Prime. You can check us out at WESNCC on all our social media platforms. Well, in about half an hour, the guys come in for today's edition of Talking Point. That's Shah and Small. Before that, there's news at the top of the hour. But for now, I'm Andy Johnson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.